Hello everyone, welcome back to Dancers Doing Stuff. I am so excited about today's episode because it is one of my old dear friends. That sounds like really weird, like we're 70 years old, but I went to high school with Adrian and I have gotten to see his journey in the dance world, and I am just so excited to share everything with you guys. This bio is amazing, and it makes me get distracted because I want to interject like moments into it, but I'm just gonna go and read it to you guys. So Adrian was born and raised in Cambridge, Mass, where they began their training as martial artists at Davis Square Martial Arts, which I didn't even know because I'm from Davis Square, so that's so cool. We were like so close even when we were little. After receiving their black belt, they transitioned to dance in high school at the Cambridge School of Weston, which is where I met him. And in addition, they are an alumni of the Jose Mateo Ballet Theater. They went on to graduate from the Ailey School at Fordham University with a BFA in dance and double minor in philosophy and math, while also pioneering a study abroad exchange with Israel's Kibbutz Contemporary Dance Company. Along with directing Cantankerous Creatures in Boston, Adrian currently lives in Los Angeles, working as a dancer and choreographer. Previously, they have been a company member of Wim, I always say that wrong, please, when you come on, correct me, a guest dancer with Alvin Ailey and Body Traffic, danced in music videos for Katy Perry and Justin Bieber, among others, freelanced on stage and film, and appeared as a featured dancer in Greta Gerwig's recent remake of Little Women, which I got to do with him. So this is just like the best bio ever, and I am just so excited for you guys to meet Adrian. And also, I told him already this, but I'm just going to show his full reel. I know usually I keep it to 1 minute, but this reel is so gorgeous. It just makes me want to move, and like I miss moving big, and Adrian just like knows how to take up space in such a beautiful way. So I'm playing the whole thing because it's gorgeous. So as always, you know I love to just share these videos, so let's watch. That just fed my soul. I love that. I'm going to keep watching it even after. I'm going to watch it after the interview. Okay. So, without further ado, let's give a big round of applause and bring in Adrian. And I
Hi.
remembered to unmute you. I'm learning.
Woohoo!
Amazing. Thank
Professional
you.
podcaster.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's like early for you on the West Coast, but I appreciate you being here so much. Yay.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. It's fun.
Yay.
I don't know, you said it, but like it's cool that we've been I now I get to embarrass Haley because she just embarrassed me, but I was like a freshman when she was a senior and she was like so cool and she was on the hip hop
Oh
team
my God.
and made this really cool Alice in Wonderland that she asked me to be in when
I
I was a
made you
freshman and
tap
I was like
dance.
so honored.
I made you tap dance as a frog. And you had never tap danced
Mhm.
before, right? I was like,
No.
no, you're gonna tap dance as a frog. I wish there was footage of that. The footage was lost, so that was like a one-time performance that just happened in the world.
It's
And
live performance. You got to be there.
exactly, it's like, what even is that anymore? I don't remember live performance. So sad. But before we get sad about the pandemic changing our lives, let's jump into our craft. So, this is like a technological new situation for me and dancers doing stuff. We have figured out how to screen share because Adrian has, as always, I feel like you're always teaching yourself new skills and just doing things and figuring things out and making things work. And I'm just so impressed by you all the time. But one of the things that you have taught yourself is like graphic design and like Photoshop and all of these things. So we thought it would be really cool to do a kind of digital craft for you guys today. So no supplies except for your computer, and we're using Photoshop today, and I know nothing about how to do this. So Adrian is going to kind of take the reins. We figured out how to screen share his screen, so that's going to be very new and exciting, and fingers crossed it works. So let's try.
Should I pull it up?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. We tried it one
And
time. And thank you, Kate, in the comments for saying that my hair looks gorgeous. I did get a blowout today for the first time in my life as one of my things to do that I'm doing 30 before 30. I'm doing like 30 fun things before I turn 30. And hopefully that makes
ooh.
me not panic about turning 30 next Tuesday. So here we are. But we've managed to get the
You'll have great
screen
hair.
shared. Yeah, right? Like that's all that matters. So the screen is
So
here. It
I
looks good.
have, it looks great because you're on it.
Stop.
Um, so here we have a beautiful photo of
Oh
you
my
that we're going to be
goodness.
playing with today.
And I have it on my
Um,
screen, just I'm not sharing that because no one needs to see my garbage interpretation of what you're going to teach me how to do.
um, yeah, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do together, and maybe you can give me like some tips. So basically, the first thing I do is we have this beautiful photo view that we pulled up in Photoshop. And we're just gonna right click here in the bottom where it says, I have Haley, it might still say
Oh, yeah.
95851, whatever yours says.
Yep.
But if
It's.
you just right click that, and you're gonna hit rasterize layer right here, and
Oh
that'll
my god,
make
I've
it editable.
already failed. I've already failed. Oh my gosh. Somehow I've gotten the photo off of the page. It doesn't
Did
exist
you?
anymore. I dragged it and now it's gone.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I think. Oh no. You know what? You just keep going. I'm figured out. I'll figure
Okay.
it out.
Okay. I'll just verbalize what we're
I'm
doing as
back.
we
I'm
go.
back. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
Okay. Whew.
So if you rasterize your layer so it's no longer a smart object, then I come up here to the little magic wand cutie tool, and then we'll hit select subject, and Photoshop is so cool that it just figures out exactly who you are. So now we'll go back and we will duplicate that layer so that we have two of them. And now on the second one, if I hit this little button that's like a rectangle with a circle in the middle, it'll create a layer mask. And now we have two layers, one that's just you and one that's you with the background.
What? This is so cool. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it on my end at all, but I'm fascinated
Okay.
with your skills. I don't know how to. I still haven't found the right button, but I'm working on it. I'm gonna keep
If
working on
if
it.
Canva is what works for you, Canva is great. But basically, what I'm going to show you is that all graphic design is actually not so hard, and you can do it for yourself and make your things look super professional. So
Amazing.
basically, what happens now is if I make a new layer, if I come here to create a new object, let's create an ellipse. Um, I can put it here, and it'll just naturally be behind you,
What? That's so cool.
like that. Yeah, and I can play with it. I can rotate it the other way. Maybe if we don't like the color, I can make it a different color. Let's try this. So we could make it basically we could like sample this brick back here if we like that.
And you taught yourself all this on your own, just internet university, YouTube university,
Yeah,
as they
I
say.
so I used a website called Flern. It's like PH like Photoshop, Learn.
Oh, cool.
Um, and basically what happened was at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, most of us realizing that I had no transferable skills to a virtual world.
Yep.
So yeah, basically I was like, maybe I'll start learning Photoshop. And then I found out that I really enjoyed it. And were you an RA in a college also?
No, because at Smith we have like a different. It's like you live in the same house for all 4 years usually, so you kind of have like little siblings, but it's kind of like sorority esque. But I don't know, Smith, it's like its own thing, but kind of in a way. Yes, we can
Well,
say yes.
I was an RA in college, and I really loved. My favorite part about being an RA was that uh, I got to make these like boards um, for my hall. Like I had, your floor theme with a board when you got off of the
Yeah.
elevator, and
Oh, yeah, I
like,
did something like that one year. I was like to welcome in the new students and create like a
yeah,
little theme and everything. Yeah. I can
yeah.
relate. I can
So
relate. Okay.
we did my floor. I did one each semester, but my first semester, my floor theme was DIY crafts. So everybody's door got their own DIY craft, and like on their names, it had little instructions about how to do it. And
That is
so
so
I
cute.
really like
I wish you were
crafting
my
and
RA.
designing things. I did have a lot of fun as an RA. I like my second semester theme was eggs, and so everybody's door got an egg pun. So there was like a Shell's Angel, which was like a punk egg with a mohawk, and there
Oh
was
my
like
God.
an egg roll, which was an egg doing a roll. And
Oh my gosh. So you were just like
anyway,
throwing out creative energy into the world at all times, no matter what you're doing. I love that.
something like that. I try to stay active. Okay, we're just gonna make something cute like this. Let's make the color something that will show up more.
I'm just like flabbergasted that you're able to even do this. Like, and they've
Well,
got
you know who's
fonts
been
and
helping me a
everything.
lot is Lila Fagan.
She's another genius CSW grad who I need to have on the show because she's a
Yeah,
dancer and also just so clever and artistic. Oh my gosh.
brilliant, 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 brilliant. So it's actually been super fun for me because we have been like reconnecting over over the pandemic, and she's been like explaining me. She'll like look at my work and give me feedback, and she's been helping connect me with like some people who can maybe get me a job someday.
Yes,
So
hopefully. I
I'm
love
really
that.
yeah, it's been really sweet to reconnect. and like learn a new skill.
Yeah, I love this.
Uh,
So really, it is like it's not something to be scared of. Anyone can do it. We can all learn
yeah,
this.
no, it's totally. I think people want you to feel like it's super hard, so that way you have to pay us like lots of money to do it for you. Um, but uh, it's not.
I mean, obviously,
So
like you could probably do the basics for yourself, but maybe, I mean, still support graphic designers and support
yeah,
Adrian when you are offering these services for people. But it's something. I mean, I think that that's something that's so necessary for dancers to learn. And I think I don't know how it was at Fordham, but um, like at Smith, we didn't really talk about like the business of dance or the, all the other skills that you need to know besides just steps and how to dance and have technique. There's so much more that goes into being a professional dancer. So I think that this is great that you've taught yourself this, and it's so necessary to have other skills, which has been so shown to us during this past year.
cool. So now I'm just like adding whatever we want. I'm gonna say Haley Grove is a superstar
Oh
because she
my god.
is. Maybe we'll put this in a different font just to make it even funner.
Oh my gosh, so fun. I love it. I feel like a superstar because of this image. I'm so excited.
You are a superstar. And then if we wanted to give this a little glow, we can. It's like a little pop.
So cool.
Some little stars.
You could do everything on this app. Or it's not even an app, program. What is it? Software? That's the official term.
Yeah, it really. I mean, it really is. It really is. It's cool and it's really easy. Also.
Everyone, go get Photoshop and make your own stuff. Moral of the episode's over. Don't hire anyone, do it all yourself.
Yeah.
So cool.
There we go. And then I can make this like a little star. If I want to. No, it's not. Let's go with this way. So, and then I can make a few of these.
Amazing.
Change them around. Yeah.
I love it. So cool. Well, thank you for making me feel like a superstar. This has been the best craft yet because I feel famous. But now I would love, love, love to talk to you about dance and just like your dance journey. I know I was lucky enough to see you like very early on in your dance journey as a freshman. You were like this lanky, like energetic human that was just like plopped into CSW. And I don't think I had realized that you hadn't started dancing until high school. That's I had no idea that that was true. So how did you start dancing?
I started dancing. So basically, what happened is I was a martial artist and I was like doing that. And I was also like deeply socially ostracized. But I did a lot of musicals. That was like where I found my friends, and surprise, surprise, whatever, 15 years later, we're all gay people. um, but I would do these musicals, and I have like really a truly atrocious singing voice. And so I would always get cast as like dance lead or whatever, featured
Mover.
ballet boy, even though I had no training whatsoever. They just were like, we can't let this person sing for an audience. So how do we make them feel included? And that's always where I ended up. And I assumed, as you do when you're like 10 years old, that that means you're really good at it. Um, and so I was like, yeah, I guess I'm this amazing dancer because I keep on getting these dance leads in my small community theater, of which there was only like two other boys in the whole cast. And so I started taking dance classes and then really loved it. And yeah, got more involved at our high school, and here I am.
Yeah. So I know, like, it's crazy because I was a senior when you were a freshman, which,
Mhm.
like, nowadays the age difference is not so big. But, like, when you're in high school, that feels like such a huge thing. And I feel like even, like, the college admissions process and, like, the whole, like, you kind of were at like the beginning of where things were starting to kind of change. I feel like with like it being more acceptable to go to like a conservatory, or I don't know, at least in my year it felt very much like, oh, like you can dance, but like you probably shouldn't go to a dance conservatory. And I remember like with Christian, who was below me but above you, and a lot of people, like as I graduated and saw like the amazing dancers that I got to dance with in high school, a lot of people started to go to conservatories, and I was wondering what that choice was like. Like, did you 100% want to go to a conservatory program, or did you kind of look at all different things?
I did. I don't know what happened. Like people sometimes ask like when did you realize that this was something you wanted to do as a career? And I really don't feel like I had that moment. Like I think I
Mm-hmm.
literally went to my first dance class and was like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do for my profession." Which like was maybe not a great idea because I was not by any means prodigious when I started. But I was just like so sure and so self-assured that I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go and be a dancer. Um, so I think when I was applying to schools, I was really looking for something that was going to be dance centered. But I think that something that was really great about our high school was that there was just the faculty really kind of demonstrated that you could do a variety of things with your life, and that you didn't I never felt like, and I also, I mean, I grew up in a family, like my mom was a potter and a yoga teacher, my dad is a anti-racism activist and a sculptor, so I don't feel like I really had a lot of pressure growing up that I needed to like go to business school and then work as an accountant or something.
Yeah.
I felt I was pretty clear from the beginning that I wanted to have a more kind of creative life trajectory. And so it felt like that was part of what I was looking for when I was looking at a college.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I'm going to be real. I was looking for a name that I felt people would recognize.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean the
I,
Ailey program is such an amazing program. What was the your experience being at school there? I mean, so cool. And then I mean you got to go abroad and did all of that. So that must have been so
yeah,
exciting to be in New York City and doing all these different things.
it was definitely, I was definitely excited to be there. I think part of part of just looking for something that looks good on paper is that you don't necessarily spend a lot of time thinking about like does it line up with my values, like the parts of a college decision that I think now that I mentor sometimes younger kids about picking a school that I'm a lot more emphatic about like are you a person who really likes community? Look for a school that has community. Like I think I sort of just went to Ailey because it was such a good name, and it was in New York. Um and I really appreciate the training that I had there. I had some really great faculty and I was given a lot of great opportunities, but I think I also it was a very hard program, like the Ailey School is 300 kids or something, and they're all really good. And it's not the administration just does not have a lot of time to like we went to a school that was like 300 kids in the whole high
Total,
school
yeah. Our whole there
with,
was probably
you know,
like 10 kids who were like actively dancing
right.
every day like us.
And
So,
we had these teachers who like you could just go to their office and sit and talk for an hour, and
yeah.
they were like just happy to be there and guide you and whatever. And then I got to Ailey and it was like you get one advisor meeting a year and like otherwise good luck, you know?
Wow.
And so I think in the beginning it really I built up a lot of insecurity. I built up a lot of like competition complexes and feelings about like, am I, getting things? Am I getting noticed? Am I ever going to be a professional dancer? The usual
Yeah.
19, 20-year old stuff. But I do think one of the good things I got from the program was like, because it was so hard and because there was so much competition, I really had to learn how to like let it go. Like if I didn't get an audition, cool. If a friend of mine got something that I really wanted, I had to learn how to like celebrate with them because that was the only option at a certain point. Otherwise, there was just too much, discomfort and insecurity and all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
That's such a good lesson to start learning in college, I think, because that is how it is in the real dance world. And it's like, it is so hard when you're like, you want to celebrate with your friends because they got something, but it's like, you're also sad because you wanted that opportunity or you wanted that thing. And I think that that's such a complicated life lesson that comes with age, probably. But so
Yeah.
after college, how did you stay in New York at all, or did you go right to the West Coast? Because I'm so
No.
intrigued how you ended up over there.
Yeah. I mean, the theme of my life has basically just been say yes to everything and figure it out later. But basically, what happened was like I graduated college. I was fully intending to be in New York, stay in New York. I didn't have a job. I didn't have an apartment, but I was like, I'm gonna go back. No, I was going. I got into two summer programs that were on the West Coast. One was in Portland and one was in Vancouver, and there was 3 weeks in between.
Cool.
Um, and so I was like, oh, like I've never really been to the West Coast. I was wildly anti LA.
Yep.
I just feel like if you grow up in Boston, LA is like where,
Yeah, it's like
horrible.
fake plastic land in your head, and like we're like in Boston, we're the like uppity,
Right.
educated, high class art. Yeah,
Exactly.
of course.
So I was like, I mean, I would never move to LA, but I've never been. And our friend Natalie, who I think was also on this,
Yes.
um, was living there. So I was like, okay, I have 3 weeks in between. What if I like just went down to LA and I saw Natalie and some other friends that I had there, and then I could go to the second intensive that I was going to in Vancouver. And then while I was down there, I just like had this incredible experience of going to classes and people being like, who are you? Like, are you available to work? I was like,
Amazing.
I mean, I don't live here, but I also don't have any work anywhere else. So I ended up,
Right.
this one woman approached me in a ballet class and was like, I'm shooting a movie. Um, I'd love to use you if you're available. We start filming on August 27th. Could you do it? And I was like, well, I think this was like Tuesday. I was like, well, I leave on Friday and I'm gone until August 26th. But like the program that I'd signed up for finished on August 26th. But I was like, I mean, theoretically, I'm not doing anything on August 27th. So if I could learn all the choreography via video, like I wouldn't mind flying back in and doing this.
Amazing.
And I fully expecting her to be like, yeah, that probably won't work out with us. But
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, we can make it work. So I canceled, I had a return flight Vancouver to New York, and I just canceled it and bought a one way to LA and kind of figured it out from there.
Wow. And then so from there, you just got different opportunities and just just figured it out. I mean, I feel like that's like you said, it's really just like the theme of your life. I'm always like, where are you like right now? What state are you in? What country are you in? Like it's just so cool to see how you're really making the like freelance dancer dream really work for you.
Yeah, and I mean I think it's also important to like I don't want to pretend like I just showed up in LA and it was like, "Oh great, here's a block modeling contract or whatever." Like
Right.
I mean what really happened was like I flew in, I did that job which was 2 days, and then from there I had like 4 months of like what is happening? I'm an adult. It was my first time out of college. I had to like get my first apartment. I'd never gotten an apartment. I had to buy a car.
Oh
I
my
didn't think I was
god.
ever gonna own a car. I got a job at like a sandwich shop called Mendocino Farms, and I was like making sandwiches for people for a while, and just going and taking class. And um, I think when I look back at it and I talk about it, it sounds like, oh wow, it just happened. But I think it's also like I kind of want to deconstruct that narrative of like for some people it just happens and for other people it doesn't. Like a lot of the time it really didn't happen, and I was like, I don't know, this was a huge mistake. So
Yeah, and especially moving
fortunately I'm
so far away from home and your training and your connections in New York, I know that that's like something that people who train in New York, it's kind of jarring the idea to just like up and leave every networking situation that you've made in school and all of these things. Like that's part of me. I like secretly do like have like I want to experience living in LA or like at least being there for longer than like a vacation week or so. But it's like it's really is like scary to feel like you would have to start completely fresh and meet new people, and obviously there's connections that transfer over to the coast,
I
but
mean I really didn't know anybody when I moved to LA. Like
yeah.
it wasn't like that. But I also think what's nice and what's not nice about LA is like LA really enjoys what's new and up and coming. So there's a lot of like, oh, you're new, that's exciting. Like let me introduce you to people, let me, help you get work. Versus New York is very like you wait your turn, you wait in line. Maybe once you've been taking my class for 3 years, I'll like maybe offer you a spot in a project I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
it's a very different philosophy, but I think the benefit of New York is like once you've paid your dues, then you're kind of like in, versus LA is like you're constantly you're new for a little bit and then you're not new and somebody else is new, and so you kind of have to do more work to stay. I hate the word relevant, but
Yeah,
like
I knew you were gonna say
there's
relevant.
more constant.
It's like the hot word.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
what are some of your favorite dance opportunities that you've had, whether it was West Coast, East Coast, anywhere in the world? What's something that stands out?
um I mean I think for me the best opportunities have always been the ones where there's just really good people. There's just like really good people with great chemistry having a good time, enjoying that this is what we get to do professionally. And I think that's not necessarily like the biggest jobs that I've done. Like I did a Katy Perry music video. They rented out all of Six Flags and it was like 50 degrees and we were supposed to look like it was summer, and they like didn't want us to talk because it was distracting, and it was just like me like sitting there silently, really cold,
Oh my
just being
god.
like, it's Katy Perry. You can make it through the day. You can make it through. And then it's cool, and then you're in the music video, whatever. But like some of them, like right before I left New York, I did a project that was like in this tiny little theater down on 13th Street, and like it was totally like shoestring budget thrown together, but the cast was just so sweet and we were laughing nonstop. And I think for me more and more like that is the kind of experience that I'm looking for, is just enjoying that I'm I'm doing this job that allows me to be with other people that I really love to be around.
Yeah. And I know that you've done a mix of like concert dance, contemporary, commercial. What do you have like a favorite style that you just love to do, or feel any certain way about like the differences in the communities of those two genres of dance that it's kind of forced, it's, I feel like it's like broken up by the higher ups that be of like concert dance, commercial dance, theater. And it's like you have to
Mhm.
pick just one, which I hate. So I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah. I do. I do. I mean, I think it's less broken up than, especially now, so much of the divisions have been dissolving. I think what it is more than that, though, like now I think any dancer can do it all. The big thing is that different personalities really enjoy the different work because it's very different. Like doing a video shoot is like you're doing the same small phrase over and over again, like maybe 20 times in a row. You never, even if you built a whole piece, you almost never get to do it all the way through. So it's like, it's not necessarily as satisfying for some people who were really trained in the like, I learn a piece and then I go and I do it on stage. Like, I think it's a lot easier to kind of like disassociate with film work just because nobody's really watching it in the moment. And then you watch it 2 months later when the video gets released and it's like, oh yeah, remember that? Versus on stage, it's like, I'm here, you're here, we're doing this right now in real time. And if I mess up, I mess up, but then whatever. That's the beauty of it being live, is that like you just have to roll with it, and that can be really exciting in its own way, but it can also be really stressful. So I think different people kind of gravitate to like, with video you get to be very curated. You get to be very curated with your image, and like it's all very polished and clean, and I think you can have a lot of fun because the sets are usually a little bit more relaxed, and it's not like you only get one shot and then it's done. But I think some people really gravitate to the stage because there's a lot more of that, like I'm on stage
Yeah.
thing that a lot of people were attracted to when they got into dancing.
Yeah, I mean, that makes me think of our experience with Little Women. It's like, it's crazy how we spent hours galloping, hours doing
Yeah.
different formations in rehearsals, different options. I mean, I think that Monica Bill Barnes, who is the choreographer for that, she was so smart and prepared us so well for that situation of like, here are a ton of different things that could happen. And so it kind of mentally prepares you for like, okay, the dancing isn't really what's the point in this. It's the bigger story, and we are helping create the ambiance for that story. And so it's funny to watch, like, people are like, oh my gosh, you were in Little Women. Like, I saw your name in the credits. I mean, you got to be featured like walking, and that was so fun.
Oh my
And such
God.
a stressful awkward
The
situation if
most.
you so
I
let's
mean,
okay let's like get into it, because I had Steven on the show, but we didn't really talk about Little Women. So for everyone watching, if anyone is interested, I would love to like reminisce with you about that experience, and then
oh, for
especially your
sure.
little thing. So I mean, for anyone who's watching, there was like an open call in Boston for local hire, so we both came home for that.
Which no, I didn't come home for that. I was just home. I
Oh,
did I did a
really?
show in Seattle, and normally what I do is like we have a month and a half after our September show. So I just came home to see my parents, and I was
Yeah.
in a ballet class, and Alex Davis, who was like, I didn't even realize he was like the like choreographer's
Yeah.
assistant, was like, "Oh, there's an audition here tomorrow. Like, you should come."
Yeah.
And I was like, well, first of all, like, I'm only here for a couple days. Like, I don't want to give up a day with my parents. And also, like, I mean, I was on contract with a company. Like, I was like, there's
Yeah.
no way the dates are going to line up. And so I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. But Monica Bill Barnes was the choreographer who I'm obsessed with. I think
Yeah.
she's just like the funniest, most creative
She's
person.
so cool. She is so cool. Oh my gosh.
But I finally, like, my friend convinced me to go, so we go to this audition, and
The
it's
most random audition I've ever been to. I mean, it was like an open call. Everyone and their mom was there, but
oh,
like,
literally,
but it was
because like
like
when you go to an
so
open call, like LA, New York,
strange.
like people who go to open calls are people who go to open calls, like they know
Yeah.
the drill. But in Boston, it was just like,
People didn't
like
have their headshots, they didn't have their resumes. They were wearing yoga pants. I was like, I like obviously it's a modern Monica Bill Barnes is a modern choreographer, so it's not gonna be like, like. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear leggings, but I'm gonna wear like a button-up shirt to show that I have like some sort of character. Like, I wore some makeup. Like, you do the audition thing, and then like people were standing in the line, like talking about like how like important they were in the Boston dance community and how they just are assuming that they're gonna book it, and I was just like, this is so crazy and weird.
well, also there was just like 500 people there. Like I've been involved, we both have been involved in the Boston dance scene, and like to be honest, I mean, especially like when I was growing up, there were like 40 people total.
Yeah.
Like I love, love, love the Boston Cambridge dance community, but it's never been like huge and thriving. So that's
Yeah.
part of why I went to the audition. I was like, okay, there's going to be like 50 people
Low
there. Like
stress.
I'll really get to meet Monica. Right. It's going to be
I'll
so
get to
low
learn her
key.
choreography, if anything. And then, so we get there. I don't know if you were in my group, but were we in the same audition group? Or were we just,
I
I
think we were in
don't
the same
remember.
callback.
Yeah, so basically, for anyone who's interested, the most of the dancing was just galloping and like presenting ourselves. So I was kind of like, oh my god, like this really has nothing to do with dance, and I think that that's something that people don't realize. Like a lot of auditions really have nothing to do with how good of a dancer you are. It's like, do you fit
Totally.
looking like you could
Right.
be of that time
Could
period?
you be in 1867 right
And
now?
apparently, we both could be in that time period. And so it was so crazy that we also like, so we did the callback, and then I went back to New York. It was like a weekend audition. And, we were like, did we hear? Did we hear? And then we both found out that we got to be in the same scene, which is actually like the best scene because it shot on 2 days, and we had a rehearsal, and it was just lined up over Thanksgiving break or
Yeah, it
Thanksgiving
was like perfectly.
week.
I thought I was gonna have to turn it down, but it like perfectly fit the dates that I was
Yeah.
off for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was such a wonderful experience. Like the people in it were so fun, and like getting to just be around Monica and her creative process was, I would have paid to be in it, honestly, just to get to like see Monica work and then to see Greta Gerwig direct, and like I don't know, it was so funny. And then so by the time we were on set, of course there's like extras everywhere, and then they have like some featured extras who need to do like specific things like walk towards I always mess up her name,
Trisha.
Sersha. And they have like some special situations where they need to act a little bit, but they don't have any lines. And we're like sitting around in our hoop skirts and our tough shoes, eating burritos at 2 a.m. And then all of a sudden, like this poor extra, like he really was not doing what Greta wanted. And so
Did you see? Because I wasn't even paying attention.
I did
I was
see.
sitting on the side with Emma. Like I was just chilling with Emma Watson, so I was like
Casual.
not paying
I was
attention
just like
at
trying
all.
not to stare at her, and like every time she would like grab my hand when we were dancing, try to be like, "Oh my god, Hermione Granger's holding my hand." Like, chill out, Haley. But no, yeah, this
Yeah.
poor guy, like she wanted him to just like walk and have like this intention in his walk. And he was just like dead inside, and I felt so bad for him. And then I don't know, was it Monica who suggested you, or
I
Greta saw you because she saw the
All I
dancing?
remember, I just remember I was like talking to Emma, and again like was not paying attention, and then all of a sudden I just heard Monica go like, "Oh, Adrian could do it," and I just like look up, and Greta is standing there looking at me, and they were like, "Yeah, can you?" can you just do what I say while I say it? I was like,
She was getting so
okay.
frustrated. I felt so bad. It was so like she was so nice about it, but this poor guy really could not walk with the right intention. And then you did it in like two
Yeah.
takes and it was done and then we could go back to eating burritos.
It was probably top three most stressful performance experience because I'm like, fucking Greta Gerwig is
Like
directing me. I'm
staring
making
at
eye
you.
contact with Saoirse Ronan. Timothy Chalamet's like right there.
Emma
And then part
Watson.
of it was she was like, look around the room and just like find her in the middle. So I'm like looking around the room and I just see like Emma's just like there, like watching, like
Because it's so
judging.
funny
No,
when they're
no,
not.
not thumbs up. Just like, what are you gonna do?
Really? Oh my gosh.
No, it's not mean. Like she was not mean at all. But I was like
Yeah.
really,
No, and
it
it's
was
so funny also because it's like obviously only the people who are in line of the camera are in character. Like everyone else is just like standing around waiting or like, they'll like do something really dramatic and then like they'll be like cut and then all of a sudden Emma's just like, "Oh my god, so then like you're like it's such a
yeah.
crazy world, but that was
Especially
so fun to see you get to
it's
like
so
do
funny
it."
being in it's the only like period thing I've ever done. And so I think that's also what's hysterical is just like, you're in a room in pilgrim clothes, like there's
Not pilgrim clothes.
whatever, but like, like it really they do a great job. Like
Yeah,
it
it felt
feels
like
like
we were
it could be
back in time.
1860
I mean, I was
and
like
then
in
you're
a
like,
full on real corset for 12 hours, but then like still using a porta potty. So, like,
yeah,
and then like eating like Hershey Kisses and goldfish on the side. Like, it's such a
right.
bizarre situation, but it
So
was
bizarre.
so fun. And I just loved that moment where you got to be a part of that. So, I'm glad that we got to share that with. I hope people enjoyed that reminiscing because it was really fun for me to talk about it. Okay, so let me move this kitten who's been sleeping in my lap and making my hand very sweaty. It is time for our game. Let me get my special situation going. All right, it's time for Would You Rather. So, as everyone knows who watches, this is a pre-made game, so it's nothing too crazy or inappropriate. But I'm gonna pick randomly some Would You Rathers, and if you're watching in the audience, I'd love to know what you pick. So, let's see here. Oh wait, that one was from last week. I have to get a fresh one. Okay. Would you rather have everything smell bad forever or have to wear clown shoes every time you walk?
I'm actually a clown.
I was gonna
So
say, you've
definitely
been
the
doing
clown shoes.
clowning. Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, amazing. So that's an
Yeah,
easy one.
yeah, definitely the clown shoes.
Tell the people who are wondering, are clown shoes fully open, those big shoes, or are they like your size shoe with extra shoe? Do you know?
No, they're fully open. We
Oh
actually
no.
like we don't use a lot of clown shoes anymore. Like
Yeah.
there's like red nose clowning, which is like what you think of, like the red nose and the crazy wig and the big shoes. But a
I
lot of
love the
clowning right now is
smell of
very like
clown noses.
stripped down. Do you really?
Yes, the red foam clown nose. I have one in my room, and sometimes I just smell it. Little fact about me. Okay, what? These are all used already. Let me get a new one. Okay. Would you rather live alone on the moon or sleep each night in an underground coffin?
Hmm. That's a tough one. I I'm a little too extroverted to, I think, live completely alone. So I guess I'd have to go with the coffin.
Yeah, I know the moon would just be so
That's hard though,
sad.
because I'm also very claustrophobic. So,
Neither are great. Neither are great.
yeah, I think I'm
Okay,
going coffin.
last one. Would you rather feel like you are sitting on pins every time you sit down, or have to wear underwear that's always full of wet sand?
I really like acupuncture, so I think I'm gonna go with the pins.
Okay, yeah, the wet sand underwear, I don't think I could do.
Unless it was like, exfoliating and it would
Like
just make me
soft
really smooth.
sand. It just makes me think of like being a
Yeah.
kid going home from the beach and you're just like tired and grumpy and you're like covered in sand. I don't know. I think I'd pick the pins too. Amazing. Well, now is the time where we talk about some of your passions outside of dance. And I can still kind of talk a little bit about dance because I would love to also talk about your creative process. And I know that you have been creating your choreography and you've done some stuff with film over this pandemic. So I'd love to talk about that and just like any other passions you have outside of dance.
Yeah, so like a year ago I started a dance company in Boston. Basically, I've my whole life I've been like Boston's where I want to be, but the dance there isn't really a way to like make a full-time career out of dancing in Boston. So I was like, okay, I'll just make my own career there. So I started a dance company, and that's been really fun. I mean, I think it was a great learning experience for me because in terms of like passions, like I love problem solving. Like it's my favorite. I minored in math. Like I
Yeah.
just love anything where I get to like solve a problem. And turns out running an arts organization is the most problem solving you could possibly ever have to do.
So many problems.
So many problems, but I really love them, and I feel like I've been really privileged to get to dance for a lot of different companies and be in a lot of different spaces where art is being produced, and kind of watch what other directors are doing, and if I feel like it's successful, or if I feel like, I think a lot of the time I'd be in spaces where I feel like I totally understand where you're coming from, but I think if you just communicated this differently, or if you invested a little bit more in, this part of the branding or whatever, like I feel like you could be more successful. And so it was really fun to like make my own project and test out my theories, and try to be on the other side of it, which
Yeah, I
it
was
was
gonna say
really
there's so many things that go. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize like how much really goes into like the dance
hard. Oh yeah.
industry. It's an industry. It's not just like a bunch of people like twiddling their toes around. And it's like you really do have to have business skills and marketing skills and
Yeah.
organization skills. And there's so much. So it must have been so cool to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, was very illuminating to why more people don't do it, because it was so challenging, but it also, I think, two sides, like it was definitely very, very hard, but I also felt like up to that point I felt like it was never something that I could have done until I just did it. And then once you're in it, it's like, okay, you figure it out. Like, okay, I need theater insurance. Let me Google how do you get theater insurance, and then you find somewhere and you go through that process. I've never written a contract before, so let me, hope that I really love, and, figure out how to draft one that I feel like has language that feels good to me. And it was a lot of just being like, I don't feel like I have the authority to do this. I don't feel like I know how to do this, but I'm just going to do it because people have bought tickets to a show. So if you don't, they're going to be
Yeah.
really unhappy.
Amazing.
Uh,
And what other passions do you have outside of dance and outside of kind of the other side of dance? Totally non dance related.
I think for me, what I'm learning through the pandemic is just that I love learning. Like I think as long as I'm learning something, even if it's ridiculous or not related to anything I've ever done before, it just makes me feel like my time is being somehow like materialized into knowledge. So like over the pandemic, I taught myself graphic design. I've been cooking a lot, which has been super, super fun for me. Um, what else did I learn? I feel like there were other things. I learned how to felt.
Oh
I
my
learned how to do
gosh.
gymnastics.
Your
Uh,
gymnastics reels and videos that you've been posting, I love it. And of course, we have to share Natalie, one of our mutual friends, who says we love learning, which is true. I think that the pandemic has definitely, that's one of the silver linings that's come from it, is just so many people have learned so many new skills. And I'm so jealous of you that you can do a kip up. I want to know how to do it so bad, and I'm scared of all those gymnastics things that you do, but secretly I want to be able to do it.
yeah. I I think they're worth being scared of. Like the more I do them, I'm like, yeah, this is terrifying.
It's
Like back
crazy.
handsprings suck, but
It's
it's also
crazy.
fun.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's just good to feel like I'm learning. I don't know, because I think in some ways like all knowledge is kind of the same, you know, like I think there's better ways to learn, and it's all just learning like how to experiment, how to fail, how to look at something you just did and say like, okay, here's what I felt good about this, here's what I didn't. How do I learn how to do what I didn't do well better next time, you know?
Yeah.
And I think doing it with things that aren't dance related really helps me have more of that mindset when I come to dance things, to not be like, oh, you're a professional, you need to know how to do this, but be like, okay, this is something new, just like learning how to make a chicken pot pie was something new. Like, try it. If it doesn't go well, figure out how to do it better.
Yes,
Um,
I think that's such a good point, because I think so often it's like, I mean, that's kind of the reason why I started this show, is that like I felt so much of the energy and the pressure of like, if you're not eating, breathing, sleeping, dance, training all the time, only thinking about dance, spending only your energy on dance, if you do even anything else a little bit, you're not a real dancer. You're a failure. You're not hustling hard enough. But it's so clear that there's so much that we can learn from doing other things that then bring back to our dance, bring back to our art. I mean, something I always say is like, how can you create art about the world if you know nothing about the world? Like, you have to experience your life and live your life so that you can create art that connects to the people who aren't dancers. Like, most of the people who consume dance are not really dancers, but there's still something about it that speaks to them, and like they're patrons of the art. So like, why shouldn't we experience the things that they experience in their world too? And then obviously still train and work hard at your craft. But I think that it's like finding that balance and like finding the things that you can bring back to dance is so, so valuable.
yeah. And I also think it's like what I always, when I talk to friends who are like, you know, feeling like it's not working out for them, or really want to be a dancer but just like are getting really down, like the only thing that all professional dancers have in common is that none of us have quit, you know? And I don't think that has anything to do with talent. Like there's so many people who I know who are so much more talented than I am, who are whatever, that just like could not stay with it, or didn't, or not could not, like I don't want to put it in a framework of like staying with it is necessarily good and figuring out something else is necessarily bad. Like if you find something else, great. But I think if this is something that you want to do, the only key to doing it is just keep doing it. And I think figuring out how you add other things into your life that make you feel like you can keep going is the most important, more than being in class every single day or whatever. Like it's more just about like, yeah, if taking two classes is what feels realistic in a week, take two classes, really commit to taking those two classes, and then the rest of the time don't feel guilty about it and enjoy doing other things.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that brings us to our next game. Well, it's not really a game. I
How
really
do you
shouldn't
build
call it a
games?
game. I don't know. It's not really a game, but questions, the questions game. It's a game because we don't know what we're going to get. So, I told you earlier, these are random questions taken from the internet, mostly from the website Questions to Ask Your Dad, and we're just going to pick randomly and see what we get. You can always pass, but I'm going to pick one of each color. Let's see.
I feel like I'm getting my tarot read.
I know, this is like I'm doing a card trick, and you're going to have to pick where the red ball is. Okay, let's see if these are good. Sometimes I actually veto them. Okay. Ooh, okay, some of these are good. Oh, this is one of them's a little weird. Okay.
Okay. I'm a little weird, so that's okay.
Okay, pick a color.
Blue.
Have you ever had a job you absolutely despised?
Have I ever had a job I absolutely despised? That is a good question. Um, no, I don't think so. I
Not
think,
even
I don't
sandwiches?
know. No, no, I no, I was dating one of my coworkers and we used to make out in the freezer, so I like that job a lot actually. Um, have I ever I've had jobs that were hard. I've had jobs that made me not feel great about myself at times, but I feel like they've all the ones that I didn't feel good about ultimately by the time I was done with them, I felt like I had gotten enough out of it to feel like I was glad doing it, if that makes sense.
That's good.
Uh, like, yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, next color.
Okay, let's go pink.
What food do you crave more than any other?
It's got to be wings. I'm a
Wings.
pretty, I'm a pretty big. I've had multiple birthdays at Hooters. Natalie and I went there for Valentine's Day once.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, I would love to say that it was like some kind of fancy carbonara, but it's hot wings with blue
Wings.
cheese.
Yeah, I was gonna
Three
say
extra
like
blue
what
cheese.
specific type of wings, but hot wings with blue cheese.
So buffalo wings, two blue cheese, one ranch is usually my order.
Ooh, everyone, take
Sometimes
note.
two orders of buffalo wings.
And
Talking
we will
about
have his
myself.
address in the show notes. You can send him some. Just kidding. And then Natalie also wants to know. She said Mendo's Farms. Was that the name of the sandwich
Yeah, that
place?
was my
Yeah.
sandwich shop.
Amazing. And she also loves Hooters. And we love you, Natalie. We love you.
We love Natalie and we love Hooters.
They go together. Okay, next color.
Um, Orange.
What is the weirdest thing you've done on a date?
Um, you know,
It doesn't have to
I,
be
I would,
the later part of the date.
yeah, I'm trying to think if I've had many dates that were weird in other ways. Um, oh, that's a really tough question. I did, this isn't an activity, but I did go on a date with a mayor once.
A
Uh,
mayor.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
a mayor, a mayor of actually somewhere in Western Massachusetts, which I won't say for he's like running for Congress now, so I don't
Oh my
want to
gosh.
throw him out, but
Scandal. I love it.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, we're getting
it was
all the
probably
tea
about
here
the
today.
political office. It was very
That's
unexpected.
pretty crazy. Okay, and this last question is like super weird. Definitely from the dad website. So I mean, you never know if okay, I'll just say it. Is there anything I can do to make your life easier?
Hmm. Um, I think this is great.
I'm glad that this is
Have
making your
have a
life easy.
podcast.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Things that
and
make my life easier is seeing friends like do great things, and I feel like you're doing great things. So That's making my life easier.
Stop. You've hyped me up too much. That's too much. Okay, so the last question is, what brings out your most creative self?
Um, that's a good question. I think for me, there's two things. Number one, like I was saying, is like collaborators. I think for me, being an artist is about getting to be with other people that I really love spending time with, and I get sad because I think dance creation, like there's such a history of like the one choreographer or whatever, but you know, to me, what I enjoy is like creating with other people. I think for most other performance-based art forms, there's like if you're writing a song, like usually people have songwriting partners, or if you're putting on a play, there's a director and an assistant director and a choreographer and a lyricist and like
Yeah.
I'm really into kind of team creation. But I think the other thing that I've been really learning lately is just like stay small and just feel like creativity can be making a little doodle in my notebook. It can be playing with a graphic design thing. It can be like eating my food in a weird way. Like I think the more I think of creativity as like making something cool and exciting and beautiful, of a the more of a mountain it feels like climbing and the less creative I feel versus like when I'm like this video that is I'm like
It's
sort of going
amazing.
viral right now. It's
You're
so
going
weird.
viral on
I
Instagram. I'm gonna if I can share a link to this specific reel, I'm going to. It is gorgeous. You are just like freely flailing through a field in a sunset, and it is just like everything I never knew I needed to watch.
But I mean, I have my own feelings about it, but like bottom line is people love it. Almost 1 million people have seen it now. And like that was like we went to this field to film some actual phrases that I made that was like dancing, that was like, this will look good, and I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to like really produce myself and be creative in a way that I thought people would like. And then my friend who was there with me was like, what if you just like ran and jumped around and I'll run next to you and film it? I was like, okay, sure. Um, so I just did that. We did one take and I picked 6 seconds that felt cool and I put it up being like, whatever, this is, I'm trying to post twice a week. This will be my post for Friday. And here we are. So I think really for me, just trying to reframe like that creativity needs to be some special, starry night or the Statue of David or something. Like
Yeah.
creativity can be a fun manicure, and that's great.
Yeah. I love that so much. Okay, so where can people find you? I have in the show notes, we have we have your website and your Instagram, Adrian.Hoffman, but is there anything else that you would like to plug for everyone out there?
Um, I have this company called Cantankerous Creatures, and we did a film residency this summer where we like
So
similar to what I was
cool.
just talking about. Basically, we just like got together on a commune for 10 days. We brought a videographer and some camera equipment and some random clothes, and we just like made a bunch of film stuff.
So
And I've been working on
cool.
editing it for the last like 6 months. Sometimes I've been editing it, sometimes I've been overwhelmed and forgetting about it, but we're finally ready to start sharing some of the stuff that we created. So if you want to follow that on Facebook or Instagram, Cantankerous. On Instagram, it's at cant.create. But I'm going to
Awesome.
start releasing some of the videos we made
Oh
soon.
my
So
gosh, I'll definitely link to that. Everyone go check it out. I mean, your your brain is beautiful, so I'm so excited to see what you have collaborated, and I saw some of the behind the scenes that you were posting this summer when you guys were all there in your story, and it just looks like it's going to be so cool. So definitely everyone go check that out. Go follow Adrian, go check out his website, check out his work, and support him. He is the best, and I'm so glad that you were here. And then if you're watching and you've made it to this far in the replay, or if you're still here watching with us live, I would love for you to follow the YouTube or subscribe to the YouTube, and then definitely check out Dancers Doing Stuff on Instagram. If you want to follow my personal stuff, Ailey Grove on Instagram, that's where you can find me. And definitely check out the podcast of this version of the show, Dancers Doing Stuff, on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you can get podcasts, we're there. So with that, thank you so much for being here, and have a lovely night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.